Utopia is now open every day from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. and till 1 a.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Chill out with a craft cocktail or an ice cold beer, and Utopia's got the latest gaming machines with big jackpots ready for you to win. Need the perfect spot for your next celebration? Utopia features a beautiful event venue, available now for parties, reunions, and private events. So come see what all the buzz is about. The drinks are cold, the space is hot, and Utopia is ready for you.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Muddy. I'm Ashley Conrad. Joining me today, getting us started, Don O'Brien. How are you?
I'm very glad to be hitting in the leadoff spot today.
Yeah, you should be. You should feel very privileged.
Our ratings have gone up so much that you need me to start it off.
Yes, everybody wants to see your beautiful face, and here you are. And speaking of seeing those beautiful faces, let's talk about back to school photos and posts.
Yeah, be careful. I mean, it's so cool because obviously, you know, the kiddos around here are going back to school. And for the cesspool that social media is, this is one of the bright things. When you see the shining little faces all excited to go back to school for the first day.
Adam Booth loves them. I've heard he loves being tagged in all these back to school photos. Yeah. So make sure you tag him in those.
So one of the things, the people more smiling might be the people behind the camera taking the photos, the parents after a long summer of dealing with these kiddos. But, you know, sometimes we want to let everybody know how proud we are of our kids. You know, you put the little placard up in front of them that says they're in Mrs. Gough's class and they're in 5th grade at whatever school. Don't put all that extra info in there.
Here's their full name.
Yes. If you want to put like 5th grade, 2025, 2026, that's fine. But the more info you put out there, the more likely somebody is to take advantage of that. And think about where you stage these photos as well. You know, for our kids, we always put them in front of a tree in our house. But it wasn't our house wasn't behind there, so you couldn't see what the address was or anything. So you know, just use some common sense here because unfortunately, it's really unfortunate that we have to talk about stuff like this. But there are people lurking out there, and this is another good time to remind everybody to check their permissions they have on their social media, including their Facebook, because that's the most important, that's not the most important, that's the most popular one by a long shot.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where we're seeing all these things. So, you know, only share with who you want to share with. Don't have your stuff set to public. And people might out there might be saying, well, how do I know whether it's public or if I'm keeping my stuff private? If you post something and there's a little icon of the world next to your name, that means everybody in the world can see that post. Yes. And if you have a little person next to that, that means only your friends and family that you've allowed to be part of your network can see that. So lock it down as much as you can, and everything will be fine. But again, this is a time of year we remind people not to overshare too much.
Oversharing can be damning, and we're all really excited for the kids to go back to school for various reasons, right? I mean, we love to see how much they're growing. We love to share that, especially with family and friends that may be afar. So Facebook, Instagram, everywhere that you post it out on the www is just that. It's a World Wide Web, so you need to make sure that you are locking it down. I do like the the placards that people use to kind of track the growth and the differences from year to year. But you don't have to put everything out there. Just
keep it simple.
Yeah. First name, grade. You don't have to put the school
year. You can put school year. That's it.
Yeah. I did look at these tips before I took and posted my kiddo's picture. So Claire's in senior high. She'll have to deal with me on Friday.
Okay.
But Nora went to school yesterday, as this is shared today. And I was taking her picture in front of the house, and then I was like, oh, that's got some significant markings, right? Not necessarily a dress, but people would be able to tell. And then moved her over, and when I shared it, I did share the information and noticed that it was set to friends and friends tagged, because I had tagged Denman PTO, because they like to share some of these.
So now everybody in that Denman PTO group
all of their friends have access to it, and I don't know all of those friends.
So you want to keep it specifically to yourself.
So I changed the privacy, taking tips from Mr. DOB, to only friends and unselected friends of those who are tagged.
Yeah, and that's something to think about. You know, if you were to tag Denman School or Isles or whatever they go, Quincy High School, then that's going to pop up on their thing, so everybody now can see that.
Right.
So
and which kind of negates it because I just shared it with whoever's watching this. But well. Yeah.
No, you're fine. I mean, no, it's okay.
Yeah. I just need to be a little more careful.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So this is and this is a springboard. You can also talk with your kiddos about just general safety on the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know, how much you lord over your children and their online presence.
Probably not enough.
Yeah, so I don't think enough of us do when they're younger. Mm-hmm. So it's always a good time to remind them not to share things. They go different places, and depending how you've got two that are different ages. You've got a high schooler and you've got middle school.
Yeah.
So you're going to treat the high schooler a little differently with what she can see on there than your middle schooler.
Right.
Just know where they're going. And know that when they download apps onto their devices, whether that's their cell phone or their tablet, make sure they know not to share everything about them with people they find on there.
Also, location services.
Correct. Take those off. Yeah. Sometimes even though you download these things and it might be free, sometimes there are stuff you can buy inside of those games.
Learn that the hard way.
You did learn that the hard way.
Crying out loud, yeah.
Yes. So again.
And now they've gotten really crafty with it. So you download this free game, then there's a monthly fee that starts after the free download. So my kiddo can download it.
Yes.
Because there's no fee, but it's attached to my Apple account. So then after month 1, I'm getting hit. I mean, I just got with like a $49.99 charge because of this stupid game. So now I'm going in there. I got parental controls maxed out.
Yes.
Location services off. One other thing that I don't know that you have it on yours, but I want to make sure that if people are, a little more concerned in today's world, we've talked about it before, but our family developed a secret word.
Yes.
So that when you have, especially during school, if you have somebody going, I'm not saying it will happen around here, but somebody may come up to your child and be like, your mom said to pick you up. If you have that secret word, your child should know to ask that person what the secret word is, right? And, you don't share that with anyone.
Yeah, the schools are a little bit better about monitoring that than they were back in our day. But
it's just a little extra fail-safe, I guess.
Yep.
Just a little extra precaution if you have worries that are outside of. Yeah.
So you want to put those good habits into them, being online early. Don't share. Obviously, your kids don't know what their Social Security is number yet, but your high schooler will.
I don't think I even know it.
I don't know mine either. I don't know mine either. But except when I have to look it up. But again, they're going to learn those things. And you want to say, hey, when it comes to you knowing this, don't give out your address, don't give out your phone number, because you never know who you're going to meet online. Especially in some of those game rooms and stuff. So, teach them that less is more and not to let anybody know anything. Yeah. It's terrible that we have to operate that way, but that's the safest way to be.
Yes, it is. Parental controls. Also, I think on a lot of these games, you can disable messaging and have like a passcode or something that you have to turn on. So, just do what you can. It's tough because there's always somebody lurking around that corner, I feel. But, just be smart. Yep. Take care. Yep. Everybody's excited to go back to school. At least for now. This week is always really exciting, and then next week it's like, back to the groaning and blah, blah, blah. So enjoy it while you can. Good luck to all the kiddos and to all the parents out there. Back to school should be a fun time. Just be safe. And if you have any questions about precautions you can take or things that may be lurking out there, get a hold of Don O'Brien or look at bbb.org.
Yep. We've got all the information we just talked about right on there. So you can click there and show your kids that this is what that guy was saying.
This is what the guy was talking about. Also, if you want to call, Don doesn't mind giving his phone number out because he loves chatting with people about
I get calls all the time. 217-209-3972. I'll help you figure out. I just had somebody call me this morning about the Census Bureau puts out something called the American Community Survey. They send in the mail, and this woman says, I thought it was a scam. No, it's not. It's something you're legally required to fill out. Yeah, the Census Bureau does surveys. Okay. And if you don't fill out that survey, they come knocking on your door and say, "Hey, fill the survey out."
Oh, well, I didn't know that. That's good to know.
So no, I get calls all the time. So if you have something that's weird and kind of you don't know about, please do call me at 217-209-3972.
Always double check. Better to be safe than sorry. Absolutely.
Correct. Yep.
Well, thank you, DOB.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. Absolutely. Yep. All right, up next, high tech in the heartland. Quantum computing is coming to Illinois. What's that mean? Stay tuned to find out.
Welcome out to Kelly's on Broadway tonight. We're drinking cold beer and it feels so right. I'll meet you out on Broadway underneath Shamrock Light. We're gonna have a good time on the patio tonight. There's a party down at Kelly's on Broadway tonight. We're drinking cold beer on a champagne night. We're feeling all alone and you got no place to go. So come down here and drink a beer on Kelly's patio. to eat and drink. 2902 Broadway.
Welcome to the Abbey, a Quincy tradition. With 6 big screens, a new larger kitchen, and now more seating capacity, the Abbey is the place to be before, during, and after the big game. Come enjoy fan favorite appetizers, steaks, burgers, and a variety of daily food and drink specials. Can't join us? Carryout is available too. Now with a convenient drive-up window to better serve you. 1736 Spring in Quincy. Opens at 3 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Come join all your friends at the Abbey, a Quincy tradition.
The Tower, a great place to meet and eat. But did you know the Tower has one of the finest drink selections in our area? Along with its incredible Mexican menu, the Tower specializes in tequilas for every taste. Names like Patron, Cabo Wabo, and Hornitos. And don't forget the margaritas. On Mondays and Tuesdays, stop by and pick up a single topping pizza and get Tower margaritas to go. Enjoy the Tower at home or in our dining room, bar area, or the Tower's signature climate-controlled porch. The Tower Pizza and Mexican in Quincy.
Instant Replay is your local sports bar. With 18 big screen TVs, we have all the sports packages from college games.
Welcome to Cedar Club, Quincy's favorite local bar. A friendly corner bar with a laid-back atmosphere and affordable drinks. It's the perfect spot for a great time. With entertainment galore, including shuffleboard, golden tee, pool, foosball, and winning gaming machines. Cedar Club's latest edition is the best spot to catch your favorite game. Great drinks, great friends, and great times. Cedar Club, 20th and Cedar in Quincy.
The Liquor Booth is your home for a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. The Liquor Booth has 2 locations in Quincy, 3520 Broadway and 1500 North 12th Street. The Liquor Booth, where it's always happy hour.
Welcome to High Tech in the Heartland. I'm Bob Gough. I'm with Scott Richardson, my co-host on this podcast. We talk about all things tech and how they relate to the Midwest, and Scott is just kind of, he's really into this, but we're not trying to sell you anything, and he's going to tell you why.
I don't think we could afford to buy it, even if we were trying to sell it.
Gosh, no.
And being an attorney, I have to give my disclaimer, the first part. Even though people listen to my comments here, and I may say something having to do with legal advice, I'm not giving legal advice in this talk. And also, anybody that happens to be listening, this does not form a client-attorney relationship. You're not my client just because you're listening to this. And finally, I work for East Coast law firm Robinson Cole, and I'm not representing Robinson Cole here today with my remarks. I'm just a private citizen talking about something high-tech.
Having fun, talking tech, and we're going to talk about something that really pertains to the state of Illinois today, and that is quantum computing.
Quantum computing, yeah. It pertains to the state of Illinois because our fine governor and politicians have decided to invest immense amounts of money into this to build a quantum computing campus, a research campus up in Chicago on the shores of Lake Michigan. And they're spending something to the tune of $700 million to do this.
Scott, I don't know if you know this or not, but Governor Pritzker is not the most popular guy in these parts. But, and my disclaimer, my son, of course, is the press secretary for Governor Pritzker. But this sounds really cool, and whenever I've talked to my son about it, whenever I've read about it, I think this is fantastic. And I think, if you're going to talk about government involvement in things, this sounds like a pretty good thing.
I like the nickname too. The official name is the Illinois Quantum and Microelectronic Park, IQMP, but the nickname is Quantum Prairie, and that's a takeoff of Silicon Valley.
Because we are, of course, in the prairie.
But, and I say $700 million, it sounds like a lot of money, but I mean, there could be huge benefits to be reaped here. And it's hard to say. There's so much hype in quantum computing, it's hard to say what's real and what's not.
I'm going to guess government can waste $700 million a lot worse ways.
Well, I'll tell you, government, the U.S. government is spending massive amounts of money, billions of dollars on this technology because it's drastically important to them for defense and for encryption purposes, like for communications. And also, Big Pharma is interested in this too, which, Big Pharma with deep pockets, because this type of computing can lend itself to modeling chemical reactions. And to be able to come up with the solution to a chemical reaction to do something without having to go through all the iterations and years of research, that's huge for the pharma industry.
So the layman's description of quantum computing is just really, really, really fast computing?
No,
it's more than that.
I know you asked that way because you know that's not the right answer, Bob. You can't really even compare a quantum computer to what's now called a classical computer. It's not just a faster supercomputer. In fact, and it's not good at most of the things that a regular computer does. A quantum computer would be less able to perform many of the tasks that our laptops do than the laptops and the phones we have in our pockets. And you can't. And first of all, you can't talk about a quantum computer without talking a little bit about quantum mechanics. So we're going to talk a little bit about quantum mechanics. And I have about this much of an understanding of quantum mechanics too. But a quantum computer is the workhorse of the quantum computer is a qubit. And like the workhorse of a classical computer is a transistor. Computers nowadays have millions of transistors in them. Quantum computers, the best ones now have just 100 or a couple hundred, and also they're having problems with getting them to run long enough to maintain coherence long enough to actually finish the what they're calculating. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself.
Now, why is that? Is it because is it a power issue or?
It's an error issue because qubits have to be operated at near absolute zero, minus 273 degrees Kelvin, and very close to near absolute zero. In fact, if you Google quantum computer and you look at do an image search, you see what's called the brass chandeliers, and they're these big. Well, they look like a brass chandelier, and almost all of that is the cooling apparatus to keep the chip cool enough to maintain coherence. And when I say coherence, well, first of all, quantum computers have a couple of quantum mechanical attributes that are they're kind of bizarre, really, Bob. A qubit can go into what's called superposition. And like a regular bit, a transistor is either on or it's off. It's either a 1 or it's a 0. Mm-hmm. And a qubit can be both a 1 and a 0 at the same time, which is kind of hard to wrap your head around.
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. And so for as long as they're computing, as long as they maintain coherence, they're in that 1/0 state. They're in that superposition state. And that's how they make their calculations, and that's why they're so efficient. And they're most efficient at the type of problems that are difficult to solve but easy to verify. And let's see, I should talk a little bit about quantum mechanics and how they came up with that. And I personally was introduced to it in junior high in my physics class, and our instructor had an excellent physics professor, or teacher, I guess you'd call him, not a professor
in high school.
In high school. But anyway, he talked about the double slit experiment. And in researching and looking into the double slit experiment, the double slit experiment was first performed clear back, 1801, 225 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, but it wasn't performed in the manner it is today. But a fellow named Thomas Young, a researcher in London, used monochromatic light, and he had two screens. He had a back screen, and he had a forward screen, and it had two slits in it here. And then he shined this monochromatic light through the two slits, and the light, as the light came through each slit, it diffracted and spread out like that. And the spreading out light interfered with each other and produced a diffraction pattern on the back wall. In other words, a light and a dark strips back here where it was diffracting. Positive interference and negative interference. And so, they concluded from that, well, light has the property of a wave. It has wave properties. And then fast forward 125 years, or about 110 years or so, to Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein did some research with particles, and he found out that he basically was the discoverer of the photoelectric effect, which means that light is quantized. It has the effect of particles, and so they theorized that there was a wave-particle duality, that light sometimes acts like a wave, sometimes it acts like a particle, and the gist of it is acts like a particle when it's at really small, photon size or particle size. But that's not actually true. It actually acts like a wave and a particle at particle size. And I'm going to get into that right now. And I know I'm being long-winded on this, but we're going to bring this whole tangent all the way around to the concept.
I'm bringing nothing to the table on here.
Of superposition. It's all going to come around to superposition. So anyway, fast forward another 60 years to the early 60s, and some scientists got the bright idea, and I don't know why they ever thought about this, but they replicated Thomas Young's experiment from clear back in 1801. They replicated it, again, shooting light through the wall with the 2 slits onto the back wall, except they did it 1 photon at a time. Why would you ever do this? I mean, because the thing is, all you're going to get is 2 stripes of photons, right? Wrong. Actually, when you shoot 1 photon at a time, you still get the interference strips, the light and dark strips. If you shoot enough of them, it makes the same interference strips. In other words, this photon, even though only the photon is going through 1 slit, it's interfering with something. It's in a superposition state is what it is.
So,
isn't that odd?
It is very odd, but how does that get us back to this?
Well, that demonstrates the characteristics of superposition. This photon actually it's going through, it's not necessarily going through 1 slit. It's going through 1 slit, or it's going through the other slit too. It's in both. It's in a 1 and a 0 state, just like a qubit.
Just like a Mm-hmm.
Which is it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around that.
It is. Yes, I agree with that.
But anyway, and also right now, from what I've read, it sounds like the development of, if you liken the development of quantum computers to the development of the hydrogen bomb, we're in about 1939 or 1940.
Oh, okay.
So we're well on the way.
We're close.
And we have a goal, and we've met some objectives, but there's some big hurdles in the way that they're trying to overcome. And also, there's not just one type of quantum of little particle. There are a number of different efforts to make particles.
Let's talk about how Chicago comes into play here, because you mentioned the atom bomb. Of course, Chicago had a role there.
Yeah.
With the University of Chicago in the development.
The first atomic reaction.
First atomic reaction was there, and then St. Louis had a connection with the Mallinckrodt Company. So we've had these. This kind of goes back to when this development happened, and now having this up in Chicago, which of course has, again, really good universities, really good research up there, and again, it's the 3rd largest city in the country, so it should be a place where people would want to come and live and work on this stuff. Even though Chicago, yes, has its crime issues right now, you can still live in the burbs and commute in.
Especially that part of Chicago.
That's that part of Chicago.
It's not a nice part.
No, but I think that if you're going there and you're trying to build this campus, because I know there's a whole part of the whole innovation initiative that the governor's trying to do. So, is this something though that is a great chance to bring in the quote unquote best and brightest to work on this?
It seems like it is, and it's been fairly successful in attracting organizations so far. I think there's somewhere around 15 or so quantum computing companies on that campus now, and that's about 10% of the quantum computing companies in America. Mm-hmm. I take that back. It might be in the world. There might be 150 in the whole world, and there's 15 in Chicago.
And again, for this to take place up there, just a short train ride from us, is really fascinating, and the fact that this could be this huge breakthrough that we're just waiting to see of how it's going to make our lives better, because we can't imagine, nobody could imagine the internet, cell phones, et cetera, 100 years ago, 50 years ago, well, maybe not 50, but 100 years ago, and now you get to this, and what sort of boxes can this open?
Well, like I said, it's not good at a lot of different things, but it's really good at a few things. It's good at modeling nature. It's good at modeling chemical reactions, things like developing new drugs. It's good at decoding and encoding encryption. And that's the reason the government's in it, is because of the encryption.
But I think when you talk about discovery and when you talk about innovation and you talk about science in general, how many daily aspects of our life were scientific breakthroughs that were accidental? That were we didn't know that was going to happen, but hey, that's pretty cool. I mean, the discovery of penicillin was an accident, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you explore, when you discover, sometimes the old adage, when you throw stuff against the wall, sometimes it sticks, and sometimes really good things can come of it. But if you don't try to take that step and make this happen, there is no discovery, there is no advancement.
Yeah, and also if you look at how technological advancement happens, it doesn't happen in the manner we think it's going to happen.
Not at all.
Because remember in the 50s, they were always talking, oh yeah, everybody's going to have flying
Where's
cars.
my flying car?
And where is my flying car? I want to see that. I've got a Dodge pickup truck, and it's on the street outside. It's not flying anyplace.
Exactly. I mean, when we all thought we were going to be the Jetsons, or we all thought it was going to be Lost in Space, and we were all going to be living on the moon and Mars by now, but we're not.
Now, the Jetsons, that really dates us, Bob, because you and I know what the Jetsons are, but there are a lot of people that don't know what the Jetsons are.
Yeah, no kidding. But I think you look at this, and while no, we don't have our flying cars and we don't have our condos on the moon, we've still got a lot of cool stuff that has happened in our lifetimes.
And unbelievable stuff too. I mean, some of the things like who would have predicted that we would have cell phones in our pockets, mobile phones that could have vast amounts of information at our fingertips. We can answer a question in a minute that might have taken us a day's worth of research, just 30, 40 years ago.
The current iPhone has more computing power than the Apollo capsule did, or whatever. The Apollo rocket.
Way more.
And the
in fact, I think
space program.
Like the Apollo capsule had about the same amount of computing power as like a free calculator you get from the bank. That's about how much.
Yeah, the old TIs that you had to have in high school.
They show the picture of like the control rooms, and they're sitting there with these giant consoles, these CRT tubes, the green TTL tubes and everything.
Yeah, and now all that stuff is just like I said, it's in your pocket.
In your pocket,
basically. It's fascinating. So,
but I don't think quantum computers are going to be in your pocket anytime soon, because right now at least, they still have to cool these particles down to near absolute zero, which is just a huge undertaking. And the reason they cool them down to zero is they can collapse from the superposition state due to almost anything. Like if a cell phone transmission, if they get electromagnetic interference, they lose coherence and they quit computing. If a particle hits them, they lose coherence. Almost anything can cause them and heat. That's the reason that heat causes them to lose the coherence too. That's the reason for absolute zero. So these huge brass champagne devices are actually they're for cooling and for shielding. They're like multiple layers of shields, and not just like Faraday cages are actually cages with you can see through them. Probably the netting is big enough that a mosquito could fly through it. But these cages are solid containers because they're trying to reflect everything.
When you talk about having to achieve absolute zero and temperatures and things like that, it also has to factor in how much electricity, how much power it's going to take to do this too.
Yeah,
it's going to be a lot.
Point. It's going to take a lot of power.
And we are currently having all kinds of issues with our grid, whether it's the MISO, the PJM, and all trying to make sure we have enough power in our daily lives, and things like this consume a lot of power.
Yeah, that's a downside, but presumably the benefits will outweigh the disadvantages. So I don't know. And also, there's so much hype in quantum computing; it's hard to know what's real and what's not. And one of the things that I was kind of buoyed up by was Microsoft's announcement earlier this year. They came out with a chip that is a small quantum processor, the Majorana 1. And it uses and also Microsoft is, like I said, there are about, half a dozen different ways to make a qubit. And they're doing what's called a topological qubit, and it's a pseudo qubit. The gist of it is it's a very small nanowire, I forget, it's a few microns, like 3 or 4 microns long, and they have what's equivalent to half an electron at one end and half an electron at either. And because the half electrons are separated, if a particle does come in and hit that, or interference hits one, it doesn't cause both of them to lose coherence. One of them can go out and then come back on. And so it's a lot less prone to error. And I think, of all the different technologies out there, I think I like the Microsoft technology the best. That's the horse I'd be betting on right now if I was betting.
Oh, no
not
question
knowing
about
anything about it, just reading the press release.
No, they've got a pretty good track record, no doubt.
But no, Microsoft is doing it, and IBM is a leader. Amazon is in it, and Intel. All the big players are doing it. Plus another 150 or so companies that are dedicated to quantum computing.
Sure, and again, a lot of little ones, and whoever knows that one of those small companies could be the ones that just makes the discovery.
Who knows?
That's the thing. When you have enough people working on it, anything could happen. So the term qubit, wasn't that the measurement for the arc or something as well?
Yeah, it was, I think. Except that's CUBIT. This is QUBIT. So, but you're right,
okay.
qubits.
Yeah.
I forget, is a qubit, it seems like didn't they measure Goliath's height in cubits? Maybe?
I think so, yeah. And the ark, the measurement of the ark was in cubits too.
I always like turn to the back of the Bible, look at those old crazy old,
Yeah. Well, again,
measurements.
Not that we're trying to get into a religion thing here, but it's. I just thought that was fascinating, the use of those terms, even though they're spelled differently. But anything else you got for me today?
Well, there's so much about quantum computing. And I read a book on the topic. I was interested in it a while back, and I've just watched about every YouTube video that's available. But it's just, I feel like I'm just barely scratching the surface of this. And I think, I always say I'm not an expert in very many topics, maybe patent law, but maybe nothing else. But I would have to get a graduate degree to become an expert in this topic. Well, and even then, I might not be an expert.
Well, I think the fact that this is just, again, pretty much in our backyard where where the state is trying to make this the real hub for, if not the country, the world in doing this, I think that's pretty cool.
And I didn't want to come off too negative about the Quantum Prairie up in Chicago, because I'm a little shocked at the sticker. I have sticker price shock, but I think it's a wonderful thing that we're taking the lead and the initiative and actually trying to attract all these companies and all this research up there.
Yeah, but like I said, the government, state and federal, they waste $1 billion a lot of different ways.
Oh yeah,
and I don't think this is a waste at all.
Well, it's better than wasting it on putting transients in hotels, illegal immigrants in hotels.
Yes. I think that
I'd rather spend $1 billion on this than $1 billion on that.
Yeah, I think that this is actually a good use of state dollars. So, well, Scott, as always, these are interesting, they're fun, they're fascinating, and I look forward to our next chat.
Great.
Once again, thanks for watching High Tech in the Heartland. I'm Bob Gough.
I'm Scott Richardson.
And we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much, Bob. All right, catch us back here tomorrow for Club Muddy. We'll see you then.